Hi, I'm Gabby Reese. Join me and my husband, big wave surfer Laird Hamilton, on our journey with Laird Superfood. From our kitchen to yours, we've crafted delicious plant-based creamers, coffee, greens, and so much more using high-quality functional ingredients. Visit lairdsuperfood.com and use the code GABBY2024 for 20% off your first order.
Introducing the Lisa Chill Collection, your answer to hot nights. These mattresses beat the heat with ultra-cool covers, whisking away heat for the perfect sleep temperature. Save up to $460 on Chill mattresses and get 2 free pillows when you shop now. iHeart listeners can save an extra $50 off by visiting lisa.com/iHeart. That's LEESA.com/iHeart. Exclusions apply. See lisa.com for more details.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live here on Giants.com. It's presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Thank you so much for being with us. On today's program, it's Howard Cross, Super Bowl champ, at Howard Cross 87, and myself, Paul Tatino, at Giants WFAN. And we'll be with you now for the next hour to talk Giants football. 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. You can always find us on Twitter at #GiantsChat. And as a reminder, you can find an archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcast. Howard, the Giants finished up their season on Sunday with a really impressive victory over the Philadelphia Eagles here at MetLife Stadium. And, you know, talking to a lot of players, and we all know how there's not necessarily carryover one season to another.
That's
so many
right.
people want to believe that, but there's really not. Mm-hmm. But what a lot of players said after the game, and it's important to get your take because you were in so many locker rooms during your career. Guys like Bobby Okereke said, you know, it helps you digest and chew on the offseason a little bit better when you go out with a victory.
Yeah, I think more of it is probably they were so close in so many games, right? They
4 games came down to the final possession.
Final possession, 4 games. Those 4 games could have changed the whole the outlook of the entire season. They could have been like in the playoffs right now and still playing. We're talking about 3-point games, like a field goal here, a missed field goal there, anything. You just never know. So going out, playing against – and Bobby Okereke is really starting to get the feel of – you're playing against your rival, the Eagles. They're right down the road. You don't like them. You can feel why you don't like them. And all of a sudden, you've heard so many times how many times they beat you in a row and all these different things. You just got in the door, and all of a sudden you're hung with a losing streak against one team, and you finally beat them. You're part of the group that beat them after so long. Yeah, it helps you out season a lot. It makes everybody feel a lot better. They're excited about, the fact that they beat them. They can all give hugs and stuff. Hey, see you soon. Makes you feel like you need to get back to work really soon because you're just that close to doing what you really wanted to do.
I think one of the things that, John Mara always stressed when he goes out to practice every day and watches throughout the course of the season and never misses, unless he's on league business when he can't be here, you always look for how is your team working and preparing. How is your team paying attention to the coaching staff? How is your team doing their homework, working on the plays? I was saying something, Howard, the other day, that after practice every day, even up until the final week of the season, there were guys with their electronic video pads looking over the practice video at their lockers during their lunch period while the media was coming in to talk to them. These guys were putting their nose to the grindstone right to the very end. And I just want to stress that, folks, because that's one of the most important qualities that front offices look for when they figure out how to judge a team.
Yeah, but the world's different now. Like in the past, like everybody would be huddled in a room and watching tape.
Yeah.
And now they don't
Tape?
have to. Yeah,
Film?
yeah, now they can sit there and look at their
Silent movies, Howard?
their pad was it? They were on Microsoft. Their Microsoft Windows, and they can sit there at their on their stools right in front of their locker and watch the entire practice. You can watch games itself. You can watch assignments. You can if something's going on. And remember, like football has evolved, and they don't practice anymore full speed with pads and hitting and going through every technique. Right. So now you have to like mentally get yourself prepared to, okay, he's going to be coming from this angle. This is the technique he's using. And you got to look at it over and over and over again. You have to visualize a lot of stuff because it's just the way that's the way they're teaching now when you get to this level. So it's not like the Alabamas or the Michigans or whoever in the world where these guys got 150 guys in practice and then go out and practice and hit each other. They don't do that. So you have to be able to visualize, watch the clips and understand what you're looking at and why you're doing what you're doing, trying to make sure you understand the calls and work, if a guy's motioning, where's he motion to? If a guy, feathers a blitz, is he coming, is he not coming, what you're looking at. And you got to look at it a bunch of different times and against a bunch of different teams.
And I really bring this up because it was such a high level of execution in all phases of the game against Philadelphia that allowed the Giants to truly dominate that game from start to finish, even though the Eagles, they had most of their starters in almost to the end of the first half. And then they started to sub some guys out. But the Giants totally dominated that game. And Howard, I dare say it was their highest level of execution during the entire course of the season?
I think from an offensive standpoint especially, yeah. I think that the offense was able to, stay in front of those guys, keep them occupied, which the Eagles have been the bullies on the block for a while, but they weren't the bullies on the block in the last two games, and especially the last game. The Giants' offensive line did a good job holding up. You had Thomas playing at left tackle and no one else in their right position. But they still found a way to to pull together to get it done. They gave Tyrod just enough time to get the ball out. If he wasn't getting the ball out, he was able to scramble around and then get the ball out. Those are the things you want to see. There wasn't a lot of holding, a lot of negative plays, which helped the team out. They're very successful on the first down plays. And when you're successful in your first down plays, the second and third down, they look a lot better and look a lot easier to make plays on. And then on the defensive side of the ball,
3 more takeaways.
They did a great job taking the ball away. I think, someone told me, oh, yeah, the skill of punching the ball out. You saw how they did it on Brown. I'm like, no. They fell on Brown's legs, and he let the ball go. He was done. I felt bad for him at that moment. I mean, I'm not laughing that he let the ball go because he got hurt, but I was like that. I felt bad for him instantly, and I'm like, man, he shouldn't even be in the game right now. And they immediately took him out, took him to the locker room. The interceptions by McKinney, the one on the sideline was just – he looked like a wide receiver. He looked exactly like a wide receiver, did a toe tap, everything. And then the other play coming in, Mariota just throws the ball to him. They read the wide receiver screen. I always thought to myself, and I'm like, why don't the guys just run up and catch the ball? It just looks like a play that if he turns, right? if this guy stands up and he stops and the other guy takes off, just run in that angle. And it seems like you was running, just catch the ball. And McKinney did. I'm like, that's what I've been thinking about for like 2 years of watching this. So it was pretty cool to see that happen. And those special teams, great returns. Did a good job returning the ball.
Yeah,
and you gotta like all phases. They first time maybe for the entire season they had total complimentary football. They did a good job.
It really was. So I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about that because I know it's a couple of days old, but Howard's part of our radio crew working on the sidelines during the game, and it's important to get the different perspective that he had, and it really was a feel-good day for the Giants and their fans. Folks, couple of quick announcements. Giants Huddle Podcast, you can make sure to subscribe to it. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, front office staff, past and present, all kinds of NFL analysts from around the country. You can subscribe to your favorite podcast platform or go to giants.com/podcasts. If you go to Apple Podcasts, try to leave a 5-star review because that will help the ratings for the program. Also, you can take your fandom to the next level with a Giants season ticket membership and stay connected to the team all year round, not just on game days. Memberships are now available for the 2024 season. We've already flipped the calendar, Howard.
Yep,
it is 2024.
Yep.
To learn more all about exclusive member benefits, visit giants.com/tickets. Breaking news item, just as we were opening the program, the Titans have relieved Mike Vrabel, their head coach, of his duties. Again, it's always a "what have you done for me lately" job, right?
Yeah.
And Vrabel, who's had a pretty good run there in Tennessee, they did not make the playoffs this year, and he's now out.
I think he played with 3 quarterbacks this year, 2, 3.
It was a mess.
Yeah, so it happens, right? So they're trying to get better as a team, trying to figure some things out. But let me tell you something. That guy's going to have a job real soon. He has a great culture that he builds with his team. These guys play really hard for him, and believe me, he'll have a job soon. There'll be some teams probably calling him right now.
Yeah. Finally, Giants TV is the official connected TV streaming app, which brings you all original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV and the Giants mobile app. Our phone number, 201-939-4513. We're here to talk Giants football for the next hour or so. And let's see if we can get to the phone lines. Pearson, dial us up. Let's see who we've got first. It's Hugo in New Jersey is on line 1. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
What's going on?
Hey, just maybe a quick reaction to this Vrabel news. It really is, a results-oriented business, and it's official that we let Bobby Johnson, the offensive line coach, go. And
yes.
I'm a student of history, and it's just what happens. I remember Pat Flaherty had a tremendous track record of developing offensive linemen here with the Giants, and the front office drafted Eric Flowers. Eric Flowers didn't develop, and they let Pat Flaherty go. And since then, it's been musical chairs of offensive line coaches. But it's just what happens in this business, fair or unfair. It's just to be expected, right? So just a comment about that.
Mm-hmm.
Proud of the effort against the Eagles. Paul, you may recall, I was the crazy one during the summer who said we would likely sweep the Eagles this year, I think was the language I used. And you guys thought I was crazy. I honestly think had Tyrod Taylor started the game in Philly, my bold prediction might have come true. So proud of the effort and very disappointed in Sirianni, by the way. Because the talk out of Philly was they were going to score aboard watch the Commander Dallas game. At halftime, that game was still in question. We made them surrender because we were injuring some of their guys, beating them up, and I think we were doing psychological damage to their confidence. So he threw in the towel, and that's very disappointing, and that I don't think it bodes well for them going into the playoffs. Anyhow,
I think to clarify, Hugo, and Howard, maybe you can also chime in here. You were on the field, so you probably did see the scores flashing on the board. I think when the Eagles started to take out a few of their key players, at the time, Dallas was up 14-10. And it was just before halftime for the Giants.
I'm just going to say
the Giants were up 24-0.
If he was going into the game and he was saying he was going to take his players out if they didn't have a chance to win the East, then he did the wrong thing. That's why guys got hurt. Because guys were looking at the scoreboard themselves like, oh, how long are we going to keep us in here? And that's just not the way you want to go into a game, playing a game. So if he said that, if he did that, or if that's part of what happened in Philly, I feel bad for the Eagles players, because that's not a fair way for them to be coached.
Well,
and that's not a fair way for them to be, that's just not the way you do it. Like, you play at full speed, at full tilt all the time, because that's the only way to stay safe when you're playing.
It's dangerous if you don't.
Only way to do
agree.
it.
Okay, Hugo, second point.
The second point I wanted to make is a sort of off-season plan, and my view is, if at all possible, if the right players are there, you invest in the trenches first.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would like to see done in the off-season is to bring in free agents in the following slots. I'd like to see 2 guards come in, maybe one high-priced guard and one kind of a mid-level free agent guard, and then have that mid-level guy kind of compete it with Azudu and whoever else they might draft or whatever. So 2 guards, an edge player, and a 3 technique. And then I always think, you picking at 6 in the draft, I think there's going to be at least a couple of receivers that could come in on day one and be your number one receiver. the guy from LSU, Malik Neighbors, and the guy from Washington, Marvin Harrison's not going to be there, but Rome Odunze, I guess is how you pronounce it, or perceived to be high level prospects. I also wouldn't mind looking at Joe Alt, the tackle from Notre Dame, in that slot, and maybe going for a receiver in the second round. So that would be my plan. In a very general way, we'll see. What kind of players shake out and what their price tags are. And can I say one thing that now that I have Howard on the line?
Okay.
Howard, next year will be the Giants' 100th anniversary.
Okay.
As a team, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of festivities, including some Ring of Honor festivities. And let me go on record here publicly to say you should be the headliner for that induction as a tribute to
nice.
As a tribute to durability, toughness, and dominating the trenches. And they usually don't induct one guy. I would like to see a couple of your teammates and two-time Super Bowl champions go in, Mark Collins and Bart Oates, and maybe Jeff Fiegels. I think that would be a great class. But I think you should be the headliner. And I think it's underappreciated how much you contributed to putting that Super Bowl 25 trophy in the case. You made some catches when Hostetler bootlegged to keep drives alive. And, there used to be this show, Primetime, on ESPN with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson. And I remember when they did the review of the Super Bowl, they said, "Oh, that tricky Howard Cross."
That's funny.
So I hope from a longtime Giant from a longtime Giants fan. I don't know if people in the front office listen to this stuff. Let me say, I would love to see that.
Great stuff.
I really appreciate that, Hugo. That's very nice for you to say. That was very nice.
All of us here appreciate Howard, for sure. And I got to see every snap of his career here. So trust me, I appreciate it even more than others.
Oh, that's nice. Appreciate it.
You know what, Howard? The one thing he mentioned about the free agency, though, I think we should at least make a quick comment about. You only have so much money. There's only so much cap room, and
Absolutely.
I appreciate the fact that he's targeting some areas he'd love to see. The Giants are going to have to split up their filling of those needs, be the draft and through free agency. Now, how would you feel? Let's assume for a minute, and maybe I'm being a little bit too assuming here, but the Giants could use some help on both lines in the trenches. They would love to have maybe a big play wide receiver. Okay. And that's where it starts for me. Those are the two things you got to address quickly: offensive and defensive lines and wide receiver. Well, it's three things.
Well, you have to think of it. If you're going to do it financially,
where would you spend your money?
If you're going to do it financially, the first thing you have to do, you've got to figure out if you can keep McKinney in the house. Right, that's the first thing you'd have to do. Then you got to, and Saquon, and you got to figure out if you're going to be able to keep those two guys. That's a lot of money to be committed right there.
No doubt.
So if you can figure out what you can do with those two guys right off the bat, then you got them. As the draft goes, you got quarterback, possible receiver. Maybe I don't know if the third guy's going to be a receiver or not. Could be a receiver. It could be quarterback, receiver. Quarterback, or it could be receiver, quarterback. I don't know, but I think that's going to be the kind of the thing. I think number 4 will probably be the tackle, Joe Alt. I think number 5 will probably be the quarterback.
Because your son plays for Notre Dame.
He's a pretty good player.
Can you give people a quick thumbnail?
He's a good player. He's got good feet. He's a big power guy. They did a great job running the ball this year, so he got a lot of time running the ball. Pass protection, I thought he did decent. I don't think they had or played against anybody with any extremely big time pass rushers off the edge that really tested him. So I thought he did a good job in pass protection. I'm not really sure how many losses he would have. I think he had a lot more wins, but I know he had a lot more wins, but not that many losses. And as coming out, they're grading him and saying that he's one of the best tackles they've seen in a while. So Notre Dame's known for their offensive linemen coming out and doing a good job, and their tight ends, of course. But they've done a good job with this guy. He's going to be a good player, a good NFL player, definitely.
All right, good stuff. 201-939-4513 is our phone number. Here on Big Blue Kickoff Live, we go to line 2. James in Georgia. You're next on the program. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, James.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
actually building a bed right now. I just wanted to talk about the game. Not really so much of. We finally got a chance to beat the Eagles, so that's good. Always getting a win is good. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna try to call back tomorrow because I have some more points about Wilson, who called about a call that I made. And is it John in the office right now?
No, he's not in here right now.
Okay, because he agreed with Crazy Wilson about how to pick a quarterback or whatever. So I'll leave that one for John to defend himself. You know what I mean? But we had a good season. Didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. But like Howard was just saying, you got to take care of the in-house guys first. Spend that money first on the Isaiah Simmons and McKinney's of the world, and then Barkley, and then I've been pounding the table for Jaden Daniels. I'm gonna keep on doing it. He'll probably be somewhere in our range. So if you put a good young quarterback in the room as your plan B, you don't got to start if Jones is ready, but.
Everybody keeps saying if he's ready. I keep telling everybody, I'm like, you don't know what that means.
He's not, right.
And General Manager Joe Shane said the same thing.
Man, I'm
you
telling
don't know.
you.
You have to plan as if he won't be ready for opening day, and then be pleased if he is.
Because
right?
that whole running thing when you get your knee done, let me tell you from a guy who had his knee done, that is not fun.
Yeah. I mean, and it's sad that we started cutting bait with a couple of our coaches, and I'm mad that Wink had the dang on. I thought he was talking about Philly with the 24 playbook, but apparently he was talking about his time with us. But if you got Leslie Frazier, I don't know if y'all seen what his comments on NFL Network yesterday. He was on there on Total Access, but Leslie Frazier's out there. He's available. Him and Dayball, worked together before. So
we don't have any. We don't have any idea what actually is happening. We're just like you. We're just listening to people talk.
That's it. Appreciate the phone call.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we have seen the reports that Wink Martindale intends to resign. There's been no official statement by the team, and therefore there's really nothing else for us to say right now. But we'll go back to the phones. And Jonathan in Westchester.
Sorry about that, letting you go like that. But
there's really nothing else.
We can't really talk about it. We don't know anything.
Those aren't waters that we have any information about.
Yeah.
Jonathan from Westchester is next on the show. Hello.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Great.
Good to speak with you again. So I wanted to talk today actually about the 2022 Giants draft. So it's interesting. At the time, I think for a lot of people, the head-scratcher that year was what the Giants did in round 2. And so I went back and I looked at this. Originally, the Giants' second-round pick was the 36th overall pick. And the Giants traded down twice in the second round. First with the Jets 2 spots to pick 38 to acquire pick 146. And then with the Falcons, another 5 spots to pick 43 to acquire the 114th overall pick. And so with pick 43, the Giants took Wan'Dale Robinson.
Okay.
And then with the 2 picks that the Giants got in the trades, 114 they took Dane Belton, and with 146 they took Mika McFadden. So you fast forward to 2023, at least the end of 2023, and you have some of the biggest contributions I think coming from those 3 players. Wan'Dale caught 5 passes for 85 yards against Philly in the last week.
Yep.
Finished with over 500 yards receiving.
Absolutely.
Dane Belton, Belton intercepted 2 passes and recovered a fumble against the Rams a few weeks ago and made 6 total tackles and had a sack against the Eagles. And I saw McFadden finish the season with over 100 tackles, had 101 tackles, and PFF gave him an elite 90.5 rating against the Eagles. So I guess, my point here is that, a few things. First, it looks like Shane did a good job, and he deserves credit. Second, those knee-jerk reactions to the draft are often dangerous. And third, for me, this is another example of how trading down and accumulating picks is often likely the right way to go. So I wanted to get your thoughts, especially on that last idea, of when in doubt, trading down.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it.
Well, the reason why trading down to get picks works for you is that, one, the guy that's available, the guy that's coming up next, you don't have the highest grade on. And instead of you, quote-unquote, passing on him, somebody might really want him. And you never tell somebody you're going to pass on him. You're like, oh, man, you look as intrigued as possible to make sure that people want to come up. When they come up, they usually have to give you something for coming up, and you get more picks. And then the thing that the evidence of what happens in that moment is that once you get more picks, you can fill your team with rookie contracts. And you can do you with rookie contracts, you have more money to spend on a veteran player if you need to keep a guy. If you need to bring a guy in, with the more rookie contracts you have, the easier it is to navigate the salary cap and to build your team.
Well, in addition to that, the first 2 years of Joe Shane's regime, he did not have a plethora of available funds under the cap. So he knew he was going to have to maximize the number of picks he could get his hands on, so that he could just have a quantity of young players, Howard.
Yep.
Maybe at this point, after 2 years of the new administration, he may want to adjust that a little bit, because we know the Giants had one of the youngest starting lineups on both sides of the ball in the league this year. So they have young, legitimate talent that they're trying to move forward with. Maybe he'll be a little bit more leaning towards picking up a veteran or two.
No.
He might.
No.
We don't know.
I'm going to say probably.
We don't know.
Well, I'm going to say they're going to stick with the same process. I think it takes time to build an organization and to get enough guys in to do what you really want to do and get your vision put together.
Let me ask you this then.
And the reason why I know that this is what he's going to have to do is because you can't build a team in 2 years. You can't. It takes about 4 years to get your team. It's almost like a college. It takes 4 years to get all your guys in, so to speak, and that's the process it takes.
All right, now let me ask you this though, because we've had people say that the Giants would like to enhance the competition on the offensive line. Okay, that makes perfect sense, obviously. So the question becomes, do you draft offensive line, or do you go after that one big ticket guy as an offensive lineman, because you don't have to wait for him to develop? Because if you're going to retain Jones and Barkley as focal points of your offense, do you really have the luxury of waiting for a young guy to develop over the next 3 years? Because I remember something, Howard, and you'll remember this very well too. When the Giants, years back, prior to the 2000 season, they brought in Dusty Ziegler, they brought in Lomas Brown, and they brought in Glenn Parker. Glenn Parker. They signed 3 veteran offensive linemen in one swoop. All 3 guys started on the offensive line, and the Giants went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So where do you weigh the mixing along that offensive line of maybe getting an established veteran as opposed to waiting to develop a guy?
It doesn't. Okay, first off, for the draft, you draft the best player that's there when you get ready to draft. You never pass on talent. You may not need the guy, but if you get a really good player at some position, you bring him in, because he will, vet out and be able to play eventually, and probably at a high level. He might be able to move and play somewhere else. That's number one. Number two, to bring guys in back in the day wasn't as expensive as it is today.
No doubt.
So now when you're thinking about setting a team up and you're going to bring some guys in, it's like it's guns for hire. And you got to remember that, we went to the Super Bowl that year. We did a good job. And the following year, what happened?
The line got old.
It was old. We brought in old guys.
and the performance went in the other direction. They were on the back nine.
Their bodies.
Okay, you like that back nine? I know you're a Delph guy.
Yeah. His back nine is definitely where they were. I was on the back nine myself. So I'm just saying, you just got to realize that the guys are good. They'll come in. They'll give you their best shot. It's kind of like what the Rams did. You kind of sell your soul for a minute in hopes to get to the Super Bowl. And if you can win it. But after that, if there's an aftermath, what happens after that? It takes some time to weed through and rebuild your team, because those guys, they come in and give you their best shot. They may be Pro Bowlers for that year. The following year, they're not going to have as much in the tank as they had the year before. And a year after that, you sign them to a 2 or 3 year deal. You're not signing them to 5-year deals. You're coming in and you're usually giving them hey, can you play a year? Can you play 2 years? Give me all you got. We're going to take care of you, is the term they used to use. Now, guys, if they move, they're not really getting beat up in practice, as people would say. So they should have one good year in them. But I tell people this all the time. If you're the best ability is availability. If you bring a guy in, especially a veteran, he needs to be a guy that never misses games. Because if he's going to miss some games, if he's missed games in the past,
you've wasted your money.
Yeah, he's going to miss games. He's going to miss games again when he comes to you.
Yeah, Parcells used to call them hold the fort guys. The veterans who you would bring in and they'd give you a year or two. They will hold the fort guys. That's what Bill used to say all the time. All right, we go to Joe from Pennsylvania on line 2. You're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Paul. There. I was very pleased with the Eagles win. You know what I mean?
You mean the win over the Eagles? It was not an Eagles. I know. I'm busting on you.
Very pleased with that.
It was a fun day.
Yes, really. My question is, I know we're picking number 6 now, and it just seems that there's going to be players there at the positions we need, like receiver, offensive line, and possibly quarterback.
They're all going to be there. Everybody. They're pitching a party at 6.
And I'll throw one more in there. That tight end they said is so good.
Bowers from Georgia.
Right. Now, right. So my question here is the number 6 pick. If when you draft them, no matter what position it is, if it's a receiver or a lineman or a quarterback, do you have to pay them different salaries? It's just what they negotiate.
It's the slot, Joe.
The first guy gets a certain amount, and then they're slotted all the way down. It's very easy to do. Well, not easy, but it's relatively easy to negotiate those contracts.
Well, what I'm getting at
the position's irrelevant. If that's your question, the position is irrelevant. It's the slot that the guy's taken that matters, not what position he plays on the field.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if he's a quarterback or whatever.
Yeah, those days are gone.
What I'm getting at is, too, I really think I'm a toss-up where we definitely need a backup for Daniel Jones, for sure. And our backup there, Tyler, there, he
Taylor.
seems, he seems more than capable. You know what I mean, of doing the job. But would we save more money signing him for a couple years or signing a quarterback there at that position? And then if we sign that quarterback at that position, if we could save money, we could use that money like on a guard or something like that, or to sign our safety or our running back.
Well, Joe,
that's what I'm getting at.
You gotta find out, number one, if you do want Tyrod Taylor back, you have to find out if he wants to come back and at what price.
Well,
you just don't know.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. That they'll have time to talk to him about this.
Sure.
What but you think he's going to be? That's what I'm getting at. That you could, if you sign a quarterback there, that you like, because you definitely need it. Would you save money there? You think?
If you sign,
if he can do the job too, that's what I'm saying. If you got to be like this quarterback.
All right, Joe. We'll let Howard answer. Thanks for the call.
So basically, Joe, if the numbers would read basically like this: Tyrod's one of the highest paid backup quarterbacks right now, I believe. So, what he's asking, what Joe's been asking, basically is, would you save money? And the answer is yes. You put a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. It's cheaper than signing Tyrod to the number he's going to get, and it's not nothing. I'm not bad mouthing or anything. Tyrod deserves whatever he's getting because he's doing a good job at quarterback. If he could be a starter on some teams right now, probably. So depending on Tyrod and what Tyrod wants to do, what the coaching staff wants to do, and what Shane wants to do. If you get one of the guys, if one of your top targets at quarterback is there, you might pick him. But if one of your top targets at any other position is there, like I said, whoever the best player is at that moment, they're probably going to take, or they would trade back. if they trade back a few spots and pick up a few more picks, because let's say Daniels falls to them at 6, the quarterback from LSU, and they're like, okay, well, we really like him, but there's 5 teams calling us for Daniels.
Well, you could hold out for ransom, right?
You can definitely hold that for ransom. Then you can move back a few slots and pick up another guy. But the ideal is to try to get somebody in to back up Daniel. Potentially, maybe have to play the first couple of weeks or something like that, because you want him healthy as possible when he comes back. You don't want to put him out there and put him at risk. So that's what you're looking for. And yes, it would be cheaper. And if it's cheaper to bring somebody in from the rookie class, then you can pay a Saquon, a McKinney, or even bring a guard in like you were saying there, Paul.
Yeah, and we have no idea if they decide to even go the veteran route. First of all, would they bring Taylor back, and what price would he have? And then if they decided not to go there, is there another available veteran who could potentially maybe fill in? Like, look what happened with the Browns, Joe Flacco. Yeah, he just bailed them out.
Yeah,
this guy got them to the playoffs.
This guy is he can still spin the ball.
So, there could be a variety of veteran options out there too, who might be able to help you out given the situation, and they may or may not cost you a lot of money. You just don't know.
Exactly.
So anyway, we go back to the phones. Wilson in Roxbury, you're next on the program. Hello.
Hey, my 2 buddies.
Hey, Wilson.
Hey, Howard. Hey, Paulie.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Hey, listen. I got something on the game real quick, and I got my 5 must moves, like the State of the Union.
5 must moves.
Okay.
Oh, let's go.
5 must moves.
All right, rattle them off, and Howard will comment. Go ahead.
You're gonna like them. And listen, real quick on the game. Like in sports, more than anything, eventually everything levels off. The odds and everything, they level out.
Okay.
And it's happening. The Eagles are getting older in front of our very own eyes. I think Jalen Hurts has hit a ceiling. What you see is what you get. And their depth. Remember, they used to kill us with depth. Like the third stringers from the Eagles could have started for the Giants 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
That's no longer the case. Dallas has a lot of salary problems, and they're going to have to make some hard decisions. So they're going to come back to the pack. And the Giants at Washington, they're going to level out. So it's going to be a fun year next year in the NFCs. I really do believe it. And I think something else real quick, Howard, I don't know if you agree with me on this. I think Daniel still has another level that he can get to. Even though everybody's killing him, I really do. I mean, Daniel Jones, to me, is a top 10 quarterback, whether people like it or not.
Okay.
I don't know if you agree with me on that, Howard, but
I think Daniel's an extremely talented quarterback. I think he's been the benefactor of a really poor offensive line play for a few years. So, I'm happy that he's on the mend, and I'm pulling for him. Like I said, I've been telling everybody, let's ease up on he'll be ready for game 1 because that's a knee. Because it's a knee, and you just got to get ready to run on that and take hits on that. And he's a very physical guy, so I want him to be 100%. I'm pulling for him all the way.
Yeah, they will not rush him back. No way.
100%. He's got to be 100% and nothing else. Yep.
All right, listen, and here go my 5 things, guys. Here we go.
Okay, what do you got?
Number 5. You cannot go into next season to like the training camp with Evan Neal as your right starting right tackle. I mean, he might be a good player. I don't know. We don't know yet, but you got to have some contingency plans. He cannot be penciled in as the right tackle next year. That cannot happen.
Okay, go ahead.
That's one.
Number 4. Isaiah Simmons. Under Wink, obviously, whatever happens, Wink, I don't know, but he was starting to get his stride, and he was starting to look like the top 10 pick that he was. So somehow, if they can keep him, that'll be great.
Okay.
Number 3.
You meant McKinney, right?
No, he said Simmons.
Oh, Simmons. I'm sorry. I thought you said McKinney. My apologies. Go ahead.
Foley. I think Isaiah Simmons towards the end started to look like the player that everybody.
I got you. I didn't hear it correctly. Go ahead.
Number 3. Brian Dable, I was wrong about that Brian Dable anyway. I think he is a good coach because he kept the team together. I was wrong, and I admit it.
Okay.
I think it's got to do what McCarthy did in Dallas. I think he's got to take back, call his plays, because we don't. Giants fans don't want to hear anymore. Well, I need that play back. That play back. No, he's got to take control and then have an offensive coordinator, but he's got to make the final decisions on the play calling.
Okay.
Number
2.
Well, then I got 5. Then I only got 4. And my last thing, my last thing is, if the Giants pick a quarterback number 6 overall, I think it's a huge mistake. But if they do, they have to get a second or a third round. Daniel Jones cannot be here if they draft a quarterback number 6 overall, because you cannot sell to the fan base that kid is going to sit behind Daniel. He's got to start from day one. And you know what happens if he starts from day one and he goes 2-2, 3-1, and then how are you going to sell that? How are you going to take that kid out and put Daniel in? How you sell that to the fans? It's impossible. It's an impossible situation, and which I think is a mistake. But if they do, Daniel cannot be here. And I love Daniel.
Okay.
All right, Wilson. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Howard, do you have any thoughts?
So, first off, the Evan Neal thing. I think Evan Neal's going to have surgery this offseason, so he'll be full strength. I think he's been walking around either on a bad knee or a bad ankle for the last 2 years. I think also for that, for players like Evan that have go through college and never get injured, to have injuries.
That's a big psychological hurdle, too. It's not just physical.
You got to figure it out. So, I think them finally convincing him to get his surgeries and stuff, I think he's going to look like a different player. Number 3, I guess it would be, since he only had 4, what was number 3? I know
Simmons.
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons.
Can you keep Simmons in the fold? That goes with all these other guys they're trying to sign. They got to find them. They got to find a way to figure it out if he's going to do it. Simmons was a top 10 pick when he was drafted, and he can be a special player. It's going to be interesting to see if they are able to keep him and figure out a way how to activate him into the defense. The next one was Coach Daboll, maybe taking over the play calling. Not really sure that's like one thing that he wants to do all the time. I think he was happy with Kafka last year. I thought they had some really good games. And as you can see, when you have games like the Eagles games twice, the Rams game, the team started to pick up a little pace when the offensive line got a little healthier. When Saquon's in the game, it became like, okay, so you got to pay attention to it, and things got better. The last thing, if they were to draft a quarterback number 6, the theory that you have to put a quarterback in immediately, there are 2 theories on it. One is, do you let a guy sit and learn and watch, or do you put him in automatically because you want him to play? If they draft a quarterback number 6 overall, he could sit for a year or 2. Mm-hmm. And if he does, he'll be Jordan Love. Or he could be Aaron Rodgers. He could be Patrick Mahomes. Or he could go in automatically and start to play, and if he gets in there right away and he doesn't have success and you have to bring Daniel back in, that could be mentally disturbing for a kid. So I don't agree that he has to play right away. It's not a fan base thing. It's you run your team, you try to make sure you win as many games as possible, you put the best players out there that you possibly can, and you go from there. So I don't know who they're going to draft at number 6. Like I said, if they have a guy at number 6 that they really like, they're going to take him. If they have a guy at number 6 that everyone else really likes and they don't really like him that much, they're going to ransom him off and they're going to get some picks for him.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you might get 3 picks for that number 6 pick. So you never know.
The important thing, especially when you're at 6, not that any first round pick doesn't have this caveat attached to it, but if you're going that high at 6, you better believe that you're all in on that guy being the real deal. You can't pick him if you don't have total conviction that he's going to be the right guy for you. You don't pick him just because the fans or the media says you got to take a position.
Yeah,
that just doesn't work that way. That's just foolish.
That's why we're in the stands and on the sidelines, because we don't. That's not our job.
All right, 201-939-4513. We got a little bit more left in the program. We go to Mike in Virginia. You're next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Very good.
Okay.
Hey, I called in last week before the Eagles game, and my point was sloppy football loses games. And what we saw this past Sunday was us playing good football, good sound football, and it seems like on every level. And look what happens.
Yeah, they've been trying to get to it all year.
Yeah, it's about time, especially against them. So, you're as good as your last game. Yep. I really appreciate the effort. that they put out. You never saw any quit in this team. It was just a lot of inconsistencies, like I said before. Moving forward with the draft, honestly, I mean, I'm okay with Pugh, but what I do like that we have is we got a young center, 2 young tackles. So we're trying to build youth. I think we could keep Pugh, draft another guard, maybe first, maybe second round, something like that. And then we have, if we can, sign a free agent in that space. So we got some competition up there. I do feel we need to it's time to, get off the pot or, deal with Saquon, man. I want to keep him, but you can't keep dragging him along like this. That's not right. I'm just my opinion. He means so much to the Giants team, what he brings. Like, hey, man, stop dragging him out like this and just sign the man or let him go about his business and get paid somewhere else.
Yep.
Wide receivers, you know what? I liked what we were doing. I'm tired of, I hate to call him this, Mr. Glass, Darren Waller. It just seems like he'll make a good play and then he's hurt. And he'll come back, make a good play, and then he's hurt. I don't know what he needs to do, but, want him a little bit more healthy, but he was making some good plays. And Wando Robinson showed what he can do when he's healthy. I mean, coming back from that knee was good to see. And, a lot of praise for Shep. I did not realize Shep was in there long. And I really wish his career turned out a little bit different because he was a big part. A lot of stuff that was going with Eli, he was his blanket. I know he came in and he took, when Cruz was going down, he stepped in Cruz's spot. So, a lot of good stuff was going on out there, man. And, hey, I'm happy we won. I hate the way the season played out. I would like to resign McKinney if we can, and just, not go into, what do they call it, like free agent hell or money hell, where, we just toss some money out there. I think Shane is a little bit smarter than that. And, hey, I am looking forward to next season.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks for the call.
201-939-4513. Our lines are open as we entertain the final 10 minutes of the program. Howard, just to reset for the caller, because he mentioned Justin Pugh, there are 3 veteran interior offensive linemen who played this year. Only one is still under contract. That's Mark Lewinsky at guard. Pugh obviously only had a 1-year deal because he came off the couch, as we all know, to help the Giants out this year and give them a lot of snaps in the second half of the season. And then Ben Bredesen, who, was competing in training camp, and, they were trying to figure out, well, is he going to be a center? Is he going to be a guard? Well, they had JMS, and he won the starting center spot. And then they had a Zudu, but he got hurt. So Bredesen had to be the starting left guard. Bredesen does have versatility. Not that Pugh doesn't, but these are 2 veterans now who are going to be unrestricted free agents.
Pugh came in off the couch and wound up playing tackle.
That's what I'm saying about it. He's got versatility.
Yeah.
So the point is, of those 3 veteran offensive linemen who gave the Giants a lot of snaps this year, Glowinski's the only one who was still under contract in 2024, just FYI. Okay. And I don't know how that will play into whatever they do in terms of depth and keeping leadership in the room.
In leadership in the room, I know. I think that Pugh did something, intentionally or unintentionally that fans don't really know about. Then he kind of gave Andrew Thomas a voice. Right, when he came in, you hear Thomas talking about now how he wants to have a bigger voice in the room. He wants to be, a bigger presence in the room for his guys. He wants to be, not just a Pro Bowl player, but he wants to be a leader in the offensive line
and be more vocal.
And be more vocal.
He made that statement the other day.
And I think that Pugh was the guy who kind of like showed him the way to be that guy.
Gave him a little push.
Give him like, hey, let's go. Let's go out to dinner together. Let's hang out together and start talking. And start being more ball. And you saw the level of line play pick up. It was never great, but it picked way up from the first game to when Pugh started coming in and started playing. So it looked a lot better. And I really feel that he had a real positive effect on Thomas. So Thomas will be that veteran voice that's going to be in the locker room. To have a couple other guys on the interior would be great, but we're going to see. I don't know exactly who's going to wind up being the guy. I don't know how to explain it, but you say Lewinsky's a guy with the contract, and nobody else really has a contract. I think Azudo still has a contract because he's in a.
No, I said of the 3 veterans.
Oh, Azudo's a veteran.
He's a younger veteran. The three
Okay.
older guys, the gray beards, okay?
Okay, the gray beards.
Brett is sitting, Glowinski, and Pugh were the gray beards.
Okay, well, I think Azus is coming off an injury. That's one.
Yes, and so is McKeithen.
So it's McKeithen. Both guys will be coming off an injury, so that'll be interesting to see like what they're going to do. We don't know when they'll be healthy enough because they got injured later in the season. So that'll be an issue over the offseason. So they'll be looking for healthy bodies as well as guys to come in. And when will these guys come off the quote unquote PUP list when the season starts, or will they be ready to go when the first whistle is blown? So it'll be interesting to see.
Then they had two backup tackles between Tyree Phillips, who got hurt right near the end of the season, and Matthew Pert, who finally made it back from being injured and played against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
See, that's really one of the huge problems that the Giants are facing, is that they've got so many guys in that offensive line room, which
unit.
They want to increase the production there, but they got so many guys who are unknowns because of injury. You just don't know.
They just got master in it. So like it's one thing is to get healthy bodies, and hopefully they can stay healthy throughout the season. That's the whole thought on Neal. Got to get his knees and his ankles and everything worked on so he can get himself 100% healthy. You got you see Pugh with the brace on his arm. Make sure he got to get him healthy. You got all these other guys with ankles and knees and everything that's going to go on. We got to see if somebody can be healthy enough to start, because you can't go in the season with guys that got injured that late and expect them to be ready week one to play.
One thing about Neal before we get back to the phone calls at 201-939-4513, I know you've been asked this during the show before, Howard, but I want to kind of put this make it very definitive. Joe Shane has said he knows that Evan Neal needs to get better, and Evan Neal knows he needs to get better. He's got to get healthy first. But the fact that Joe Shane has said, look, I know he's got the ability to play tackle in this league because I've seen the tape, I've seen his skills and his talent, and I believe that that's where he's going to be. How important is that confidence pusher from the GM to a guy like Evan Neal, who has been through so many ups and downs, and in all honesty is still trying to find his game?
Well, I think it's great that when someone gives you the vote of confidence, but it's also scary when someone gives you the vote of confidence. That's like the last. I always thought the vote of confidence is like that's your last chance. You
mean the kiss of death.
I give you the vote of confidence. So like you try to stay away from the vote of confidence. You just try to go out and play and do the best you can. I think, in his own head, I think he knows that he can play. Like I said, I got a chance to speak to him a couple times this year, and I'm like, hey man, get everything. It's just like changing oil. Go get your oil changed, get your tires rotated, and get yourself ready so you can get ready to give it your best effort. And that's all you can really do is just go out and give his best effort. I don't think he is happy with how he's played. Injured or not injured, he's just not happy with the way he's been performing. So he's going to come back with a different, fresher attitude, fresher thoughts, and hopefully totally healthy. And if he's totally healthy, I'd be a little nervous to see what he's going to do when he starts out in training camp, if they could get him in pass, actually, practice.
And we do know there'll be a new offensive line coach here. Okay, we don't know who it's going to be, but that's going to be another adjustment that he will have to deal with.
Yeah, like somebody else teaching you how to do things and how to get through things. I mean, it's when people see offensive lineman play, if you never hear an offensive lineman name called, then he's having a good day. But if you're somebody's watching the game and they're calling the game and they're talking about this guy just mashed somebody, there are going to be some games where you're going to see like that big fella mash some guys into the ground in a run play. The problem is that you want to see him mash some guys. You can't really mash them in the ground because that's considered holding in the pass game. You want to see that, so. But
it's
you
only holding if they see it, Howard.
Hey man, look, we had some games this year, and I'm still amazed that there was no offensive holding called. We've had some games this year where there were no pass interference penalties called. I'm like, what is it? Like? You just gotta you just gotta know the refs. You gotta know who you got that week, because if they're not gonna call holding, somebody's about to get their clothes taken off. It's gonna be ugly out there.
Okay, we go to line 2. Jay from Connecticut. You're next up, Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Past couple of games, I know Matt Parrott's been getting in. What's the take on him?
I think he's, coming back. Like, he was injured for a pretty good while. They had him on the IR after he got off the IR.
He played the last game.
Yeah, he finally got in there the last game, and he kind of went in and out the game before because I think Phillips got dinged up a little bit, but he came back and was able to finish. But like I said, he's been here for a while. He's done a good job when he was been a decent job when he was in. He's just getting better when he gets more reps. But the best ability is availability. You got to stay healthy.
Okay. Just curious, thinking if he might make it as a backup.
Well, right now he has. He's done a good job. When he's healthy, and available. He can hang in there.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you so much for the call. I think, let me just confirm this now.
Is he out for contract too?
I'm not sure. I think his contract is up. I'm just going to double check it here. Let me take a look. His contract is up. So he is a free agent, and so you're going to have to, again, new offensive line coach is coming in, and now you're going to have to address the situation.
Yeah.
A guy who, because of some bad, unlucky, unfortunate injuries, has never truly been able to show you his wares.
That's true.
So, and yet you're going to have to make an evaluation.
It's tough, believe me. Like anytime, there's so many guys that like the problem is like a backup, trying to re-sign a backup, you got to give them so much more money.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it. Like it's not like you're just giving the guy whatever. You just got to give him a lot more money.
Well, one of the problems, Howard, that I keep hearing from scouts and even assistant coaches over the last several years is that because the college linemen coming into the NFL, they're taught different schemes and different styles, and not these guys. These guys don't have their hands in the dirt very much.
Nope.
So forth and so on. So the crop that has to keep coming in to refresh the offensive linemen in the NFL has been getting smaller and smaller.
Well,
for guys who are at least kind of ready-made, let's put it that way.
You outside of the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Michigans, the Wisconsins, Notre Dames, where the
Ohio State's got some pretty
Ohio State, where you have guys that have their hand in the dirt and they run the ball a lot. That's one thing. You see teams that the more they're in quote unquote shotgun or they're not under center. When you're under center, the moment you get, under center, that means that the guys are all going to have their hand on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't just be in 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2. It's got to be sometimes in the middle of the field. So coaches are when I came in the league, they used to call it the run and shoot offense. Now it's just now it's just
shoot offense.
Now it's just
Mouse Davis, remember?
Yeah, now it's just spread. So
that's it.
And high schools have kids training in 7-on-7 camps, and they have quarterbacks and receivers and DBs and tight ends and running backs. They're doing this constantly because they think that's where the game has evolved into. As you're doing that and you're so focused on it, there's no real I'm assuming there are, but there are no real like offensive line camps that you can go where you can compete and get better at things, in D-line camps where you can go train as an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
You can go train as a defensive lineman, but there are no moments where you're working out together and working on your skills together. So when it comes down to the league, we see more and more talented skill position players, but the offensive linemen specifically have the hardest jump, because if you're not in an offense or a dynamic offense in college where you got your hand in the dirt or you're in your 2-point stance where you're learning to work with guys and move and having to go to the second level or pull, it's hard to come up to the league and all of a sudden just start doing that. You can be the most massive guy on the planet, but you may not be able to go backwards.
No doubt.
Right. So it's going to be a big jump.
All right. He is at Howard Cross 87. I am at Giants WFAN. That'll do it for today's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live. We are here every weekday from 12:30 p.m. to 1:30 in the afternoon. Give us a call at 201-939-4513. Jot that number down. You can also catch the archive of this program and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcast. Again, Big Blue Kickoff Live is presented by Cadillac. We'll see you next time.
You deserve to treat yourself, so turn your tax refund into a U fund and give yourself a Straight Talk Wireless Extended Silver Unlimited plan and get a new Samsung Galaxy A14 on them. You can get a great everyday value on wireless with Straight Talk's Unlimited plan starting at $25 a line per month for 4 lines. You'll save so much you'll be enjoying that refund all year long. It's the refund that keeps on refunding. Find Straight Talk at straighttalk.com or at your local Walmart store. Taxes and fees not included. Offer valid through 4/14/24 while supplies last. Online only. Must purchase a Straight Talk Extended Silver Unlimited plan to qualify. Limit of 5 phones per customer. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Not combinable with auto pay discount.
Hi, I'm Gabby Reese. Join me and my husband, big wave surfer Laird Hamilton, on our journey with Laird Superfood. From our kitchen to yours, we've crafted delicious plant-based creamers, coffee, greens, and so much more using high-quality functional ingredients. Visit lairdsuperfood.com and use the code GABBY2024 for 20% off your first order.